Background check. What does your background look like? Let's talk about it.
See, I've been falling all my life and people wonder why I'm down to earth.
This is Adversity University.
If you waiting for somebody to feel sorry for you, then you failed already.
Success is best of those who've been grounded first.
Cause ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for you.
Now what are you willing to do?
The only thing that separates a winner from a loser is perseverance.
And this is Adversity University. All right, this is Adversity University, Coty Motivation, Coty Martin, a.k.a. Coty Motivation, and I'm here with the Gregs, Greg Pointdujour and Greg McNeal. Let's talk about Adversity University. With Adversity University, what we do is it's a real talk podcast where we teach people how to pretty much embrace adversity and overcome that. And we have real stories with real people that basically, just telling their story, telling their truth, how they took adversity and overcame that and turned that into achievement. And who better but these two fellas right here, the authors of Background Check, the 7 keys to
unlocking success.
Yes,
in
sir.
Life and in business.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about it real quick. First of all, introduce yourself to the people.
Greg Pointdujour, one half of the Hybrid Millionaire team.
Yes, sir.
And Greg McNeal, the other half of the Hybrid Millionaire team.
Hey, man, these some real deal fellas, man, and realistically, man, I got a lot of respect for these dudes, both personally and business-wise, man. They got a lot going on. But really, I want to get into it. I want to jump straight into it. Just really about just background check. Like, just tell me about background checking. First of all, what is background check? Number one, let's start there.
Well, background check is a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
When you first initially looking at the book cover, you're thinking, it's another prison book or something like that,
right.
Which you can associate it with that because me and him both experienced some adversity with, the prison system.
Yep.
But we took it a little deeper. So we do touch on that aspect as far as us going through those trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
But we also spoke to the other part of it being
tapping into your background and your life.
Tapping into your background.
Yeah, it's just basically tapping into, how you were raised, the things you saw coming up, the environment you was raised in. All of that forms and creates your background and how you view life. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
being able to tap into that
right.
to be the greater you.
That's good because a lot of people, we come from different circumstances. Everybody got a different walk of life. But what most people do in society is judge books by its cover. You can't really look at somebody and understand who they are. You know what I'm saying? It's just really their story. So, let's talk about your story. Okay. Let's talk about your story. How do you want to dig into it? Because I'm not just gonna put nothing out there. I want you to go ahead and put it out there. How you want to put it out there?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I always like to start from the beginning. Young kid, raised Irvington, New Jersey is where I grew up at. Moved from Irvington, we moved to Union. Youngest of 3 boys, so I jumped off the porch at an early age.
Yep.
Running behind my 2 older brothers, always into something. 2-sport athlete, so athletically I was always good. I ran track, I played football. Even at my younger days, I played baseball as well.
Okay.
And that's what really kind of gave me a segue to graduating high school barely, education-wise, but that's what kind of gave me a stepping stone to becoming something in life.
Right.
Playing sports. So I got a partial scholarship to go play football in junior college, like I said, because I didn't really have the grades. So I did that 2 years of junior college. So I was somewhat still had my head, straight on my shoulders.
Right.
I transferred from JUCO, and while I was there, I suffered a foot injury. Right. So like a lot of athletes, we identify with being a part of the team, being a leader, having that camaraderie, your whole life, since you think Pop Warner, Little League, all of that little
Absolutely,
stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get to a certain point and you're becoming a man, at this point I'm 19 years old, and now I transfer from a junior college to a 4-year school. You're in a small setting, now you're in this big setting. Now you go from being a big fish in a little pond to being a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and not
absolutely.
being able to play sports no more.
Yeah.
So that kind of, you go through those trials and tribulations of trying to find yourself as well. And in that process, I was still going back home and really tapping back in with, some of the wrong influences, so to speak. So basically what happened was I got down to the South and went to school in Jacksonville State, Alabama. And I got caught up in a conspiracy a gun trafficking case. We were basically getting guns from Alabama and bringing them back up north to Jersey.
Yeah.
And it was getting sold or whatever. And basically I got caught up and got arrested probably 2 years later. That was my charge, conspiracy to deal firearms without a license.
Right.
2 years pre-trial. I was sentenced. I pled out to 18 months in federal prison. So I sat down for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Came home, 3 years supervised release. So you really put it in perspective. I was trapped in the system for damn near 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's the thing a lot of people don't tell you. It's like, it ain't just, you get caught up and you just in and out the system and you go live your regular life. No,
They still got you.
Yeah, they still got you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they really put the ropes around you, because any one mistake you make,
They banking on you to make a mistake.
they banking on you. They
Yeah.
banking on you to make a mistake before you even serve your first sentence.
Absolutely.
And then when you come out, they're banking on you to make another
Yeah,
mistake
exactly.
to put you back in there.
Trying to railroad
So,
you.
that's why that recidivism rate is so high.
Yeah.
But we overcame them trials and them tribulations. So I took that minor setback. I focused. I disciplined myself. I began exercising, working out, writing out my plan, which was everything that I'm living now was stuff that I planned and I wrote out. This is 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
Talking about, now with 2020, you talking about, I served that back in 2007.
That's
So
dope.
this is a while ago.
Yeah.
So came home, no money, no job, no nothing, no credit score, no bank account, no card, nothing, right? And I stepped out on faith, stepped into the physical fitness realm, became a personal trainer, got hired at a big box gym here in Atlanta, and 3 years later, I met this brother right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We met in the big box.
Yeah.
To meet another guy that has the same name, similar circumstances and adversity in terms of background and things we had to overcome, although
Right.
they were different. And then we just ended up putting our minds together and our visions aligned. That's the most important thing I tell people. When your vision aligns,
Absolutely.
anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And then we stepped out on faith, and here we are 10 plus years later.
Greatness.
Greatness.
That's
Hybrid
what I'm
Impact
talking about.
Fitness. We opened up a gym, opened up a restaurant, Hybrid Fit Food. Wrote our first, co-authored our first book.
Man, that's what I'm talking about.
Backgroundcheckthebook.com.
Absolutely.
We launched out, I would say, going to be probably our biggest venture so far.
Yeah, Millionaire
Lifestyle, because
Absolutely.
it's a brand. It's so bigger than just a clothing line.
Absolutely.
We can touch deeper into it, but that's kind of my story from start to the current. And my partner can tap into it and fill in any blanks that I left out. And tying together our story is how we're so interconnected.
Yeah, I want to go back to back with the stories because I like how you said Wade and him. So let's start with your story. Let's start with your story. Where you started until how you got to where you at right now.
Well, born and raised in Chicago, Henry Horner Projects.
Chi-Town.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, my story started out pretty good compared to what I saw within my environment, because I had a 2-parent home,
Right.
both parents working. We stayed 15th floor of the project, so it was days where the elevator was broken.
Yeah.
We had to take that hike up 15 flights, at a young age, doing that type of stuff. But like I said, my mother and father both working, very functional family, so life was good. As we were moving on up, we moved out of the projects and we moved to the west side of Chicago. The Henry Horner is a little over east.
Right.
So once we got to the west side of Chicago, it was a different type of environment. So people were exposed to different types of things. So that same working 2-parent home
Right.
became dysfunctional, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like I said, people got involved in different things that were the happening and the going on things at that time. So they kind of set everything back. And I had siblings, so it kind of like put me in a position where self-preservation had to kick in. To make a long story short, both of my parents, fell short and they had succumbed to, the evils of what was going on in the streets at that time. So, me personally, I saw this around me. I saw this environment, but I also was a sharp kid. I played basketball. I excelled in basketball.
Yeah.
I think I possibly should have done more than what I did with it. But I knew I needed to fend for my family. So what I did was I had started to see the motto. So okay, they selling drugs. This type of money's coming in. So I'm seeing these guys, and this is what I'm starting to look up to as, like, I've always looked up to my father. My father's still to this day a superhero to me. But I saw what was going on with that fast life.
Yeah.
So I gravitated towards it, and I knew that it would be a way for me to help my family out. So I started to dibble and dabble in it, but I still was going to school, still maintained 3.5 to 3.7 GPA. So I was always straddling the fence. And then, you know, one day I just was like, man, it's time to really, you know, jump into it. If either I'm going to play or I'm not going to play.
Right.
What happened was my uncle was, he was killed. I was in the streets, and I was working a night job and still going to school at the time. But once my uncle was killed, it was like I took the gloves off. So at that point, it was like I just let my hair down, and I became who I was.
Right.
You know, the streets know me as, they know me to this day as Money. Nobody called me Greg or anything like that.
Right.
But at that point, it was like a takeover. Everything I did, it was just next level. I met a connect, and I never looked back after that.
Right.
But I never foresaw, you know, the day where the federal government would come knocking at my door.
Right.
Because I was doing the wrong thing, but my education still had me doing the right thing. So I was acquiring properties, had a restaurant. It's
Right.
20, 21 years
Right.
old.
Moving
I had
smart.
a gym. I had a 24-hour facility that I had, like R. Kelly. All the NBA players used to come to my gym and play.
Right.
Like, so I felt like I was in the NBA at 20, 21 years old because I had their money.
That's
so
what's up, yeah.
it wasn't nothing to me. I'm sitting at a sitting, my brother helping me, no money machine. We counting $1 million in cash.
That's crazy.
Easy.
That's crazy.
So it was the norm to me because I was in the trenches of
Right.
it. So that's why today a lot of guys like, man, you got any photos of this car? This?
Right.
Nah, because I never thought it would end. I never thought that day would come.
Wow.
So, long story short, I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm doing what I'm doing. My university, who I was playing college basketball for, didn't have a gym. We were in East West University, downtown Chicago. I had a gym. I told you I had a gym built from the ground.
Right.
My university, we had our basketball practices at my gym
At your
facility.
gym. Wow.
So all this stuff was going on, but I'm looking at it as small time because I couldn't even wrap my mind around all the stuff that I had going on because the life is so fast.
Right.
So one day, I get a fake knock and boom, at the door.
Oh, wow.
So this was the time where the feds, no search warrant, no nothing. They came and tore the doors down, and my life changed that day.
That day.
So what happened? They locked me up. Went through the process, the court process. Went through about 3 or 4 lawyers. Spent about $300,000 in attorneys.
Wow. Real deal.
Only for attorneys to tell me stuff like, look at it on the bright side. If you plea out for this 20 years, you'll still be young when you get out. So you still be functioning, this and that. And I'm looking like, wow. So y'all really have no regard for human life if you want me to accept a plea like that. But I think I was stubborn, and I think it was the money as well that made me just stand firm. And I went to trial with the federal government.
Wow.
I ended up losing. I received a 25-year sentence. But my faith never wavered. I always knew that I would come home. I knew there was another purpose for my life. So I went to prison like I was in college.
Wow.
So I carried every day like I was in school. Any guys who ever know me, like I'm probably the best basketball player they ever saw come out of BOP.
Ooh, yeah.
Like we did it. Man, we used to have NBA players coming in, like Chris Kai played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was in Minnesota. They used to come into the facility and I should give them 50.
Balling on them.
Yes, I was destroying them. So that's how I did my time. One day I was down at the rec yard. I possibly did like 4 years and some change. And I got a call to come to the counselor's office. So all the time, my worst fear has always been somebody else telling on me, somebody else getting a memory about what they want to lie and say
Absolutely.
money did for them.
Absolutely.
Piggyback
So-
and jump on your case to
Absolutely.
cut
Right.
that time down.
Absolutely.
So this particular time, I got that call, and this is what I'm thinking. My attorneys told me, sit down, you need to sit down for this. I sat down, and they told me, man, you can get ready to pack up. What? They said your whole conviction has been overturned. Your sentence has been vacated. Fourth Amendment violation, illegal search and seizure.
Wow.
Because they were so gun-ho to get me.
Get
They've
in the
always
door.
heard the name, but they could never put the body with the name.
Yeah.
Because I was always out of town traveling for basketball and, leisure.
Yeah.
So they can never, and I never talked on phones, anything like that. So this was their moment to shine. So instead of going about it the right way, they decided not to get a search warrant, tore the doors down, and it came back to bite them.
Wow.
So upon my release, I just knew all the things, like you said, the proper, the 7 P's, proper plan and preparation, prevents piss poor performance.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Yep.
I could have came home and like I always be jokingly saying, I'm Barack Obama in Chicago.
Right.
When you come home and you thorough and you solid like that, they're going to lay the red carpet out for
Absolutely.
you. So I could have did anything when I came home, but my focus and that mindset shifted. So it's like I needed a different environment. So no, I didn't run away from problems or issues. Matter of fact, a lot of people still owe me a lot of money out there. But I just knew that I needed a change.
Needed change,
So
yeah.
I stepped out on faith. No money, like you said, no money, no nothing. And I moved down to Georgia. Small city, Ackworth, Kennesaw area. Real diverse though, because that's what I wanted. I didn't want, just
Right.
because Chicago is so segregated.
Yeah.
And
I know all about it.
I hobbled into a gym. We ain't giving them no credit for real.
Right,
I
okay,
hobbled into
yeah.
a major gym,
Yeah.
big box. I had just came off a microfracture surgery on my knee, so I hobbled in there on crutches, and I was like, man. One of the things that I was working on during my incarceration was fitness, health and fitness. So I decided to become a trainer, and that's when they introduced me to my bro.
Yeah.
Which at the time, it was just an opportunity for a job.
Right.
To become a personal trainer. He happened to be managing over at this gym, and we linked up, spoke, told him my situation, told me how he had a similar situation and he was gonna pull some strings and get me in there. And then, like you say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
History, fact.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It was a lot of things like that I wanted to, a lot of questions that I just kind of had with listening to the stories. Because, for one, and I don't want to bounce around too much. Matter of fact, I want to stick with your situation, right?
Okay.
Like, what advice would you give these youth, even some adults that's in a similar situation where they're just living a lifestyle and they're thinking that this is the end all be all and it's gonna last forever? That's the first question, right? The second question is, what about the ones that's all doing wrong, and they do get caught up in the system and federal system? Let's talk about the feds.
Yeah.
Federal system, and they decide that, okay, well, I'm gonna fight it.
Right.
What advice would you give those who feel like they can fight the feds?
Okay. Well, the first part to that question, I would say, it's not gonna last forever. I mean, just do your history, do your homework.
Yep.
When we say most of the gangsters and dead are in jail, it's because it's a fact.
It's the truth.
So my main I would say, and this is not an old head hating or anything like
Right.
that, I would say get out. If you've made your money or you took your bumps and bruises, get out. Start looking at guys like Coty or even us per se. We didn't come from we didn't start with much. We just made a life out of what the cards that were given to us.
Right.
So it's like at that point you just have to improvise and start to apply yourself. I always move with a purpose and passion. So if you're passionate about something, we always say start to write your ideas down and then start to put it to work. And then as far as the other aspect of it and fighting the federal government, it's a different day. So it even goes back to the first question. In today's society, people are built different. So when they say a lot of telling going on, so it's like it's not gonna last. So if you actually doing something, you're gonna get told on. And if you get told on, the conspiracy carrying 10 to life no matter what. It's carrying 10 to life.
Absolutely.
So, and they also have something what's called an 851, where they'll double your mandatory minimum from 10 to life to 20 to life. If you can have a probation. So with that little simple probation that you might have agreed to plea out to, in the federal prison centers, federal prison system, they love the fact that you have a prior conviction, because with any prior conviction, they use it as leverage to bump your time up. Yep. So that's why they have what's called a 851, because they'll double your minimum if you're on a conspiracy, which carry 10 to life, because you was like, I sold a little drugs and I took a plea for a drug case or whatever it was, and I have a conviction. They using that conviction against you once you go federal, man. Absolutely. They're gonna double that minimum from 10 to life to 20 to life. So, I mean, my advice to you was to pump your brakes, man.
That's it.
And stop it.
Because at the end of the day, you fighting a losing battle
all day long.
You guaranteed to lose.
Yeah.
If you have enough intelligence to run the operation in the streets, you have enough intelligence to get out here in this corporate world.
You have way more, because it takes way more.
I try to tell everybody
they don't understand that.
They really don't understand that. I mean, because we all come from a similar background, and I'm from Miami.
Right.
Everything that's all I saw.
Yeah,
that's all family, friends, associates, whatever, man. Everybody, you either was the biggest dope boy, or you was a robber, or you did everything. But at some point you got to kind of realize that there's something greater, but a lot of times we're not exposed to that, so we don't know different. You know what I mean? Right. I try to tell people, in order to be different, you got to see different, and exposure is everything. Right. And like, even to go back to like with your story, where you were saying how you was an athlete. Me myself, I was an athlete. I played football, I ran track, and I was on the weightlifting team. Right, and it's like when I was young, I used to get in trouble a lot during the off season. During the season, I'm good. Football, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Track season, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. But as soon as
that idle time comes,
man, idle mind is the devil's playground. That's what they say.
No, that's the fact.
And
that ain't what they say.
That is the fact, bro. So I took that time just kind of, okay, well, let me do what I do, and everything negative came out of that. But it's like, the three of us, we sitting here, we some real intelligent brothers. Just imagine if our thought process was, then what it was now.
Oh.
Like, how far would we be?
You
understand what I'm saying? Like, we took a lot of shortcuts, we did a lot of negative, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that wasn't who we was, and we overcame that circumstance and those situations to be the people that we are. Okay, I want to get on your story, because... And it's crazy because a lot of this stuff touching the home, and I know a lot of just being an athlete. Obviously, I know a lot of athletes, and those go to college, and things just don't quite work out for them in that arena. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that they think about is going back home.
What they know.
You know what I'm saying? And whatever's going on back home, they just diving head first into. Mm-hmm. Like, what advice would you give a youngster, that's struggling in college, that's can't continue for whatever reason, whether it's academic, whether it's personal, whether it's just they don't want to? What advice can you give one of those young men, women, whoever that's kind of struggling in their situation and thinking to go back home to the negativity, thinking that that's the way out, like that's what's going to allow them to win?
I would tell them to focus on the big picture.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, it's like anything else, and I'm not going to get preachy on you, but you think about it in the Bible when he talked about how, I forgot who was, Peter, I think, was walking on the water. When he took his eyes off of God, he started to sink. I think a lot of times for us, when we take our eyes off of the big picture, like, why are you in college? What are you here for? Why did you leave home in the first place? That's what I did. I took my eyes off the big picture, and I started focusing on what I was doing in the present. Oh, I'm home for the summer, out of time.
Yep.
That was workshop,
exactly.
Right? So I'm home for the summer. What we doing over the summer? I ain't playing ball no more. I don't gotta work out like I used to all summer long, getting ready for summer camp. Out of time. That was workshop. Watching the company you keep, what we was doing.
Yes.
Smoking weed. I had a little part-time job. We smoked weed, and what I did was exactly what I said. I took my eyes off of the bigger picture. Like, I should be getting ready to go to school, finish up in 2 more years. You know what I mean? Figure out exactly what I want to do. I always knew I wanted to do business, but in the grand scheme of things, I took my eyes off of the bigger picture, and I started looking at the smaller picture, just looking at the right now. Yeah. Hanging with the wrong people. Smoking weed. And then we started doing little stuff Little things. It could, you start doing this little bit of illegal stuff here, a little bit of illegal stuff there, and you getting away with it.
Yep.
So then them small things, you take them little baby steps, then you start getting the bigger things. And it's like, another thing I'll tell you, keep your eye on the bigger picture and watch what you focus on.
Yes.
Because when we began doing these little things to get a couple dollars here, quick dollar here, then you start focusing on how do I make a little bit more money?
Quick.
How do I make a little bit more of the same fast money, but a little bit more?
Yeah.
And what happens is when you start focusing on a negative and looking for them bad opportunities, those bad opportunities come and find you.
Yes.
You know, people come to you, hey bro, I heard you going down here, yo. You see about this and see about that. And that's exactly what happened to me. The wrong people came to me. I got caught up, and you know, history, the rest is history.
Right.
So those are two things I would say. Focus on a bigger picture. Watch the company you keep, and just stay focused on the big picture, man.
Absolutely. I I work with a lot of youth. You know what I'm saying? I work with a lot of youth. I also work with a lot of adults. But just to even just talk about the youth, most of the youth that I deal with are in like the low income areas.
Right.
And
Us.
Yeah. So every time when I speak to them, I ask them questions like what they want to be. The first thing that come out of their mouth is an entertainer or athlete. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I like to tell them that's cool because I can't knock none of that because that's the same aspiration I have.
That was all our goal.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what's the backup plan? Number one, because most people will tell these kids like, and tell me y'all opinion on this. Most people would say, having a backup plan is basically they're saying that you shouldn't have a backup plan because you'll never focus on the original. But I don't like to say that, man, because at the end of the day, when you're speaking athletics or entertainment, like you like one
a lot goes into it, yeah.
Right.
Politics, everything.
Right,
So,
you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, I don't look at it as a backup plan. I look at it as security. Like, what are you going to do to secure your future? If you talk about me, and I'm going to get to the kids, but if you talk about me, like as a youngster, I told you my aspiration was a football player, athlete, or I want to be the biggest dope boy in Miami, right? That didn't, obviously none of that stuff worked, but I also tapped into what my passion was. I knew from day one when I was young, I always enjoyed helping people. That was my thing. Like, I got in a whole lot of fights, growing up. But if you look at it in hindsight, I was always one that demanded respect, and I didn't like nobody disrespecting other people. So I was the one that would beat up the bullies. Right. You understand what I'm saying? In addition to anything else that I did, if I feel like somebody tried me, I'm gonna get into a fight. You know what I'm saying? But it's not always the fact that I started. It was that I will always finish. Right. So just get back into the youth who's in those same similar circumstances, and all they think is that this is all I can be. I could be an athlete or I could be an entertainer. Or I'm going to just sell dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we explain to these youngsters to look beyond their certain circumstances if they don't see that? Like, what advice can you give to these youngsters that's coming up in the similar circumstances that we in, fighting, continue to fight? Both like physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm talking about fighting their circumstances. What do we say to these kids to help them move forward and push forward in a more positive light?
I think it's a person like me, because you got to think, we suffer from PTSD.
Yes, absolutely.
We suffer from that. So we see so much trauma and we become immune to it. Yep. So a psychologist, no disrespect to these professionals, but they send him. But he's been through something. Right. But a lot of them haven't been through nothing. Yeah. So when you get those type of guys, like I've been at schools and I've spoke to the youth, and they'll have 5 different speakers lined up, never been through anything in life.
Absolutely.
But they got the degrees and everything, and they come in and they try to speak to them, and they're getting paid good money for this. Yeah. I'm coming in for free because I'm passionate about the youth. I'm passionate about, mindset shifting. So they'll do their thing, and then I come. And then I speak from the heart, and I speak from past experience. Yes. And they love it and they gravitate to it. So it's like, it takes people like us, absolutely, who are like them, to form that mind shift within them. Absolutely. Other than that, it's going to be an ongoing cycle. So when you see a person like me who, I had those same aspirations y'all had, but I had that ace card from my passion.
Exactly.
And that passion took me to a certain level that has piggybacked into interconnected businesses, and now you can become that person who you said you wanted to be,
Absolutely.
or even greater than that person.
Absolutely, it's greatness. That ace, I like having that ace in the hole, man.
No, but I can't say nothing different.
Yeah.
Like, when you the question you asked was, what could we tell the kids? I wouldn't tell the kids anything. I would challenge, like he said, we have to challenge the adults in that community.
I love
That's
that.
whose responsibility. Because we can preach to the kids all day.
Yeah.
But if they going home to a broken home, mama strung out, dad in jail, they living with grandma, what you gonna tell them kids?
Yeah.
They not really hearing you because they, like you said, they dealing with trauma, they dealing with all this other stuff. And every case and point, every situation ain't the same. But a lot of these situations are very similar, and they going through similar things. So my challenge is always gonna be to us as the adults, and I will start with the men
Yep.
in the community, because let's put it in reality. It's the black community.
It is.
We're talking
It
about,
is.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they need to see more black men role models, not only just coming and talking to them, but they need to also see it in examples. They need to
Yes.
see healthy relationships. They need to see healthy, young entrepreneurs, businessmen, whether they're police officers, whether they're guys that
Professionals,
own,
something professional, yeah.
clothing lines
Yeah.
and gyms
Yeah.
and restaurants. They need to see that
Yeah.
to know that, okay, damn, if I don't play ball, if I get tired of playing ball and getting my body beat up,
Yeah.
I can do what you do
Absolutely.
too. But if we're not telling them that, and all they seeing is the glitz and the glamour on TV, and the touchdowns and the 50-point
That's
games,
it.
then that's all they're going to aspire to be. So we need to be, I think as men, we have to continue to step up, raise the bar, mentor, or at least go back and speak life into these youth.
You're not saying that even like within the communities. You're not seeing it. Like you're seeing a liquor store on every corner.
Yeah.
Not, and even if you're selling drinks, whatever, it's not owned by us.
Yeah.
Nope.
The clothing store is not owned by us.
Right.
The grocery store is not owned by
Right.
us. So right then and there, it's like, man, you feel like you hopeless because you don't even own the stuff within your community.
You
don't see people that look like you.
Yeah.
But you go outside of the community, you see all that.
Absolutely.
And that's why.
Seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I piggyback off what the topic that we're talking about, because I actually battle with this now, having teenage boys. Like I got a 20-year-old son.
Yeah.
I got a 22, but they're not even teens no more. They're 20.
Right.
I got a 19-year-old daughter, 20-year-old son, 22-year-old son, and they like in the trenches of Chicago.
Right.
So it's like there are moments where I felt guilty from even like coming here to try to set the tone, but they're so young, and their mindset hasn't shifted, so they don't see that I'm trying to create a legacy,
Right.
unlike anything that's ever been formed within my family. So it's like they feel like they just in the trenches and left behind. So whenever I go to trying to speak and breathe life into them, I'm Dr. King. Oh,
man.
come on, Martin Luther King. Because it's like,
I get the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the frustration part that I deal with, but I still try to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
I love them, but I lead by example because I know they still at an age where they have to find their way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it still hurts me at times because it's like, man, it's like Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through
Exactly.
that. So I've showed you, man, 25-year sentence. Some of my guys that got kidnapped, we had to get them just a bunch of different things,
Yeah.
trials and tribulations that I went through. Well, you should be like, man, Dad, you showed me enough to
Right.
where you're right. let me L7 it. Let me square up and
Yeah,
try to
see,
do the right thing. But it don't always work like that.
Because coming from the communities that we come from, we have to be tough. Like being sensitive, man, that's a sign of weakness.
Sign of weakness. They
You know
gonna
what I'm saying?
they gonna prey on it.
So they gonna gravitate to that tough side of everything. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. A lot of times, like even with me, I'm a psychotherapist, so I'm a therapist. I'm a professional counselor, right? But those who actually know me from when I was young, I go back home, man, and I'm looked at a certain way, which is good. But they looking at me like a lot of people be like, I can't believe you doing what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's a compliment.
Right, it's a real compliment. I look at it just as that, but at the same time, it's like because I live this life that I'm talking about, this walk, this journey. I really live this positivity, and I try to fight every day. I mean, I'm just like anybody else. It's a battle, but a lot of people look at me like, for example, I got a little sister, and you know what's crazy you know, sometimes we expect people to move how we move.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And
definitely my seeds, because I'm like, man, this is the blood that's in you.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But you can't expect everybody to be you. And I remember I had a conversation with my little sister, and I was just trying to just kind of guide her the right way. Like, look, you know, these, like you said, Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. And this is what I'm expressing to her. But she tell me one day, like, hey, like, that's your problem. You keep talking to me like I'm one of your clients.
Right.
I'm like, damn. It kind of.
You check yourself.
I check myself,
like,
man. I'm like, so what do
yeah.
you want from me? She said, I just want you to be my big brother. That's all I want from you. So I kind of had to really like pay attention to that situation. Like, you know what? I do. But all I'm doing is trying to speak more positive things in you to kind of get you to see different, because that's how I was able to change. Because we all come from a traumatic background. Yeah. Everybody got PTSD that come from our community, so to speak. So, you know, a lot of people look at it like, damn, I appreciate what you're doing, but when the people that's closest to you, you know what I'm saying, you kind of got to check yourself. But at the same time, I look at it like, yeah, I'm going to check myself, but I'll be doing you a disservice if I don't continue doing. Look at me how you want to look at me.
Yeah,
you know
gotta pull you up.
Hey, look at me how you want to look at me, but I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing and speaking to you how I need to speak to you to get you to see that you are great, number one, and that you could be different than what your circumstances is. You don't gotta just fold to what the situation is, or just commit to your current situation because that's all you can see. You gotta have faith. You know, that's why I preach faith and vision. Like this. Faith, focus, and consistency. Yeah. As long as you have faith that whatever it is that you want to do or you want to be, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. As long as you focus on that. The vision got to be clear.
And be consistent.
And you just be consistent. And that's just life. And that's why I'm constantly pushing it. I'm constantly preaching it, because this is how I was able to dig myself out of the hole. You're talking to a dude that, man, I pretty much raised myself, man. From the age of 14, I was on my own all the way up until college. You understand what I'm saying? I done got kicked out. I lived in 22 different houses. By the time I was 18, I done got kicked out of middle school. I went to jail when I was 11. I got kicked out of middle school fighting a teacher when I was 12, and at 13 I gave up. But then right after that, you know, that's when my dad died, and I was on my own. You know, I got sent away to Gainesville, Florida. Just pretty much taking myself. Look at me now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
we are the examples, man, of what you
I could use all that as an excuse to fail, but I chose to use it as a reason to succeed. And that's all I try to push on to other people. Like, look, you can be different.
It's
you
a different type of resilience, though.
Yeah, you got to be.
Different type of resilience.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is some real man shit. You you really got to get out there and go get it. Understand? Like, ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. All this system entitlement a lot of these millennials have, man.
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't real life. You got
not.
to understand, like, what's yours is yours, but you got to go get it. You know, faith without works is dead. You can believe all you want to, but if you ain't put no action to it, then what's gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand, you know, how to dig ourselves out of a situation, but we got to also understand that what we're living in currently right now is not the end all be all. We're gonna have different. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be different. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know I just kind of just went.
Nah, that was needed.
Went crazy.
that was a need.
Yeah, fact. So let's get background check, right? The book. The 7 Keys to Success. That's what it's called, right?
7 Keys to Unlocking.
7 Keys to Unlocking Success. I love that title.
Life and in business. Twofold.
It's twofold. Because, I mean, life is business and business is life.
Facts.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I just kind of want to touch on a couple different things real quick before we go. You know, just based on the table of contents, you know, we got the, you know, hustler's mentality. We got humility. We got embracing environment. We got faith. We got the growing process, purpose, and free game. Now listen, all these things really just touched my soul, man. The hustler mentality, we just kind of, you know, really, you know, got off of that.
What you were saying, got to go out and get it.
Yeah, you really got to go out and get it. You know what I'm saying? But what I want to touch on, and what everybody, and we ain't just talking youth, we talking everybody, need to understand humility. Let's talk about humility real quick. What does humility mean to you?
That's tough. What does humility mean to me? To me, being humble is having a spirit, I think, a spirit of recognizing who you are, right? And being humble and being being comfortable in that. You know,
Right.
not being prideful, not being bigger than what you really are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that's a part of being humble and a part of humility, but also I think going through certain trying situations and overcoming certain adversities, they'll make you humble.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like my bro said, you know, going to war with the federal government.
Yeah.
What's that? Prideful, sticking your chest out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Although it was a part of faith and it was a part of God's plan, but in that moment, that was really just
Yeah, it was.
That was sticking your chest out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you hit that sentence and the judge tell you 300, how many months? He told you?
300 months.
300 something months.
That's real deal.
That's the humility part when you kind of shrink a little bit,
Yeah.
and you recognize like, wow, I'm not as big as I thought I am.
Absolutely.
Let me tie my shoes up. Let me put my shirt and drawers on, and let me walk this straight line.
Right.
For sure.
And figure this situation out.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. You know, we think we invincible, man. I ain't getting caught. They ain't smarter than me. I'm smart. I'm the smartest one on the
Absolutely.
block. I could do this. I could do that. And then when you get caught and they tell you to go sit down, go have a seat, young man. Go have a seat,
In
young man.
DC, warning DC.
Yeah,
what you mean?
yeah. He talking about the story when they pulled
I ain't
me
never
over.
been to DC.
Listen, just not to get off topic. This was a humbling moment,
Right.
You know. Right, I'm in Atlanta. I'm coming back from Atlanta, heading back to Alabama, and they pull us over. It's my car. One of my homeboys was driving. At the time, my license had gotten suspended, so I would always have somebody driving me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until I got my license straight. But I just came from court. Mind you, I go to court, everything, license. They give me my license back. I just gotta when I get back to Alabama, I just gotta go to DMV,
Yeah.
get everything straight. And we get pulled over coming through Douglasville.
Wow.
The fine unit. They still out there now. I never forget it. They pull us over. They pull him out the car. Run license registration. I'm in the front seat, man. My feet kicked back like this. Cross feet, relaxed. Ain't nothing going on. And the cop comes up to the side, knocks on the window. My door was locked. I unlock the door. I unlock the door. Ask, can you step out the car? Step out the car for what? Step out the car. Turn around. Put your hands on the car. At this moment, when I went from my chest being poked out, like, oh, we good, bro. Pull the car over. Ain't nothing happening. Till that humility started to kick in. Like, what's
Deflated.
going on? I was becoming deflated. Like, what's going on? The man told me, turn around, put your hands on the car. He said, we got a warrant out for your arrest out of Washington, D.C. Man, everything in me took me not to break down. In the front of my mind, and what I'm saying to the man is, DC, like what? DC? I ain't been to DC. How they got a warrant out for me in DC?
Right.
But in the back of my mind, I kind of knew what it was.
Yeah.
I knew. I'm like, DC. Oh, that's the government. Oh.
Yes, sir.
He said, "Listen, I don't know. I just know is a warrant out for you coming out of Washington D.C. The government.
Wow.
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, it was over with.
It was over with." So that was a moment of humility from you
That's
poking your
why I
chest
brought
out,
it.
you
Yeah.
thinking you good, to nah, like
You ain't good.
You ain't
not
good.
good.
Yeah.
Humble yourself.
Yeah,
Man. You're not invincible. So when I think of humility, those different situations and trying times and adversity causes us to be humble. But when you are humble, good things come out of it.
Yeah.
He humbled himself. He caught that blessing. I humbled myself. I came out and turned my life around.
Yeah.
So humility is one of the keys to success
Absolutely.
in life and in business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's humbling. I want to talk about, I guess it kind of go together in my mind. Maybe you could tell me different. But for one, we just talked about embracing the environment a little bit. We kind of touched on that, but embracing the environment and the growing process. Like at what point, and this could go to either one of y'all, at what point did you feel like, that the start of a new beginning had started outside of just coming out of, the system? At what point did your mind shift to saying, okay, well, I want to be different? You know what I'm saying? Just that growing process.
Well, I always embraced the environment. I always had close ties to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So that aspect was easy for me. But I always wanted different. That's why, I didn't go to the neighboring school. I went to school up north. My parents wanted different for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a school, 6,500. I was like the 100 block. They shipped me off to Egypt. That's what we used to call
Right.
it. So it was like, they wanted different for me, and I also wanted different.
Mm-hmm.
So from the start, I knew that. But upon my release, I had already visualized different. So that's when I knew I couldn't go back to what I was comfortable with. So that's when I knew I was going to have to really put that humility into play,
right.
knowing that financially it's going to be a whole different ball game as far as me trying to build myself back to, you know, a level of comfort.
Right.
But it was no knock to the community, you know, as far as that I embraced. It was just I had grew past standing on the block, standing on the corners, and doing that business as usual. If I wanted something different, you know, it was going to have to be a mind shift, and I was going to have to, you know, really go get something different. And that's what I did. I went and got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, okay, so let's wrap with talking about the importance of finding your purpose.
I think that's important, man. Your purpose, to me, if nothing else, search for your purpose.
Yep.
You know, everybody may not find a purpose, or some people find it earlier in life, some people find it later in life. But once you find your purpose, it's like God put you here for a reason. He gives you certain gifts and certain talents. Now, how do you use those gifts and those talents? You know what I mean? And finding that peace and that joy, knowing like, listen, this is what I'm put here on this earth to do. Like we all talked about, all of our purpose, you, myself, and Greg included, our purpose is helping other people.
Absolutely.
Granted, we do it in different ways.
Absolutely.
But we all help other people to improve their lives. And we all had to go through some hard times to figure that part out.
Absolutely.
And once we found our purpose, we're able to live in our purpose and make a living off of our purpose. So for you, for example, being a counselor, like that's how you were able to make a living amongst other things.
Right.
Us, we love helping people through health and fitness and healthy food. And you know what I'm saying? And going back like we do now, go back and speak to the community. We was at the group home a week ago, 2 weeks ago, speaking to the youth about telling them our stories and, you know, trying to help them navigate the pitfalls. And they're already in a tough situation. You know what I'm saying? So finding your purpose or searching for your purpose and finding your purpose, that should be our life's goal.
Absolutely.
If a person says they don't know what their purpose is and they're just going through life living, then they're not really living.
They're absolutely lost.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about you?
I mean, I think he summed it up. But definitely, purpose is important.
Yep.
So, and it's like you said, you really just roaming the earth, and really like lost if you don't. I think one of the key things though is like people are placed into people's lives for a reason.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you may have a purpose, but you don't fully understand it, or you can't fully gravitate toward it. And I might be the person to push you toward really like excelling in whatever that passion or purpose that you might have. So I saw instances where, man, a person could be an artist, but he just drawing and stuffing it under the bed, drawing and stuffing it under the bed.
Yeah,
and you like, man, are you crazy?
Yeah.
You could be doing this, you could be doing it. So sometimes it's,
that's true.
You know how they say people place into your life for a season sometimes?
Yeah.
In those moments, it can bring, that purpose out of a person.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, purpose is very important. I believe, but like I said, I believe that you have to find it, or you really are just roaming the earth lost.
Yeah, because you got to say something about that?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
So crazy he said that, because it's a couple people that I follow like on Instagram that's exactly what they do. Like they draw. And it's gifts that I'm assuming they've had since they were young.
Yep.
And then now they adults, they in they are mid 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they gotten back into that, and it's changed it. Like I literally see the trajectory of what they were doing and what they're doing now.
Yep.
Literally, their gift has made room for them at big tables, and now, like I give an example. One of my guys, he from Jersey, named Drift, and you see him drawing every time somebody pass or anything. He doing these hand sketch drawings. He's sitting at the table next to the mayor of the city of East Orange. Like his gift has made a room. His gift and his talent has made room for him in great places. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
He's found his purpose, so to speak, amongst other things.
Yeah.
But your gift and your talent, man, that thing. When he said art, it just instantly made me think of somebody that used their gift and their talent.
Yeah.
And you could tell, like he say it all the time, like, man, this gift, he getting paid off of this. Like people buying this art now, like before you wasn't even doing that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I found that once you find your passion, then you'll find your purpose. and then that walk will be a lot easier because you having a reason. You getting out of bed on purpose. You understanding what you living for. You understanding what your destination is. A lot of us, our minds are cluttered with what ifs or what do I want to do, when oftentimes all you have to do is understand what your passion is, and then you really kind of found your purpose. That walk would be a lot easier for you. And you know, because most people work on jobs they hate, you know, they don't do nothing that they love,
Right.
you know, and they just kind of going through the motions. And that's why most people are, you know, like I say, they're confused. Or most people, and I'm always talking about depression because most people are depressed because they're doing something that they don't want to do because they're not walking in their passion or their purpose. So I encourage a whole lot of people, and everybody period, just to find out what your passion is and work on your purpose so that you can be fulfilled. Because anything outside of that, you're going to lose at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know, so Millionaire Lifestyle. Tell them how to find Millionaire Lifestyle gear.
You can find us on, we all over.
Yeah,
Social
all over.
media, Instagram.
Okay.
Brand
The Brand Millionaire.
Okay.
We launched in the website. We've been doing a lot of pieces, probably a couple thousand pieces that we moved so far.
Yeah.
Just
That's
fresh,
what I'm talking
fresh
about.
off the head.
That's the hustle, man. That's the hustle.
Yeah, the real
That's the
hustle.
hustle.
Without
You
the
know?
website, any of that stuff.
Hustler's mentality.
Without no website, no nothing. Just,
No nothing.
just really, just the love has been real.
That's-
you know,
yeah.
Jersey, Chicago, Atlanta, Texas, Cali, nationwide, like everywhere.
See, that's what I'm talking about,
So,
you know.
Facts.
So you can find it that the book,
Background check
the book.
Absolutely.
.com. You can order the book right off of there. It was a #1 new release on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon, but if you go on our website, backgroundcheckthebook.com, you get the autographed copy. We drop a little positive note in there for you and send that out to you. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So y'all know y'all want that background check the book, Millionaire Lifestyle gear. Listen, if you're a realist, if you're real, period, make sure y'all support these brothers. They're doing great things in the community. They're hell of entrepreneurs, and at the end of the day, they're great men. You know what I'm saying? So this is a wrap. Adversity University.
Appreciate you having us, my
Oh
brother.
yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate
Appreciate y'all coming, man.
You already know.
Yeah,
Once we launch our Millionaire Lifestyle podcast,
You gotta
yeah.
come bless
one
us.
of the first gifts.
I'm there.
We need your motivation.
For sure,
sure.
I'm already there. You already know. So, like I always say, knowledge is power, but shared knowledge is more powerful. And perseverance is the key to overcoming all adversity. So, never give up. No matter what life throws at you, keep your feet moving, focus on the solution, and let success be your goal. Coty Motivation, Millionaire Lifestyle, Greg and Greg. We out of here.
With perseverance to meet adversity, then success is right around the corner. You just gotta be willing to keep going. This is Adversity University. What's your plan? You gonna keep your feet planted, or you gonna keep your feet moving? And success is the next step. What you gonna do? Adversity University.